It's funny, this morning, Jackie does not want to go to school. And
Ah,
Audra had already left the clinic and she was saying, Dad, what am I going to learn at school today? Huh? That I don't already know.
I don't already know.
I'm like, Jack, it's the law that you have to go to school.
That's where a lot of the value add is added in financial planning on the investment side is the tax side. It's not so much how much you make, but how much you can keep too. But we first need to amass the wealth, right?
Welcome to another episode of the Healthy Practice, Healthy Patients podcast, where we focus on the health of your practice so you can focus on the health of your patients. Here we keep you updated on current events in the marketplace. I'm Drew.
And I'm Tanya.
All right, let's go. Let's get into it. There's this article that I came across in the ADA, American Dental Association, and they were talking about student loans and repayment programs and what does that look like, return on investment, which I thought was really interesting. So the average student loan debt for a dentist graduating out of dental school is $300,000. Taking into account, yeah, there's living expenses, there's the tuition to pay, but there's also the opportunity costs. And
Yeah.
they go into school for their undergrad and then also for the graduate school and dental school. That's 8 years if they were to do it on time. If they did it on my time, it'd probably be closer to 12 or 13 years. But let's just say 4 years for undergrad and 4 years for dental school. That's yeah. So this table it starts with average dental school debt timeline. So back in 1996, average student loan debt was $103,350, and that continued. You can see the increases and kept climbing, and you'll see the climb continues until in 2019 it's 281,000. But since 2019 to 2022, the last figure that I saw was 293,000. And so things have gotten considerably more expensive to become a dentist. And what does the return on investment look like? When I think of basic principles for purchasing a home, if you don't want to be considered house poor, the price of the home should be three to four times your annual income. So if you're making $100,000, to make it easy, you should be purchasing a home between $300,000 and $400,000. In Salt Lake City's housing market, it's really hard to find a home that goes for that much right now. But if you think of the change in compensation or your annual salary, how much money you're earning per year, from 1996, where it was 103,000 to go to school, up to 281, 293. So that's almost tripling, right? The income of a dentist hasn't tripled over that time. When you're going to purchase a home, especially in today's market, you think about your income going back 10 years. Has your income tripled? And that might be a good indicator of what your earning in potential will look like moving forward. So when you purchase a home and the real estate agent is trying to tell you hey, yes, you can afford 300,000 to 400,000, but where can you see yourself in 5 years from now? And try to stretch yourself. And if you were to ask yourself that honestly, is your income really going to triple in that time period, or is it going to go up by 5 to 10%? It's probably going to go up closer to 5 to 10% over that time period. So it's concerning to me. I saw a report, just staying on the home purchasing topic, that right now when instead of 3 to 4 times the annual income being the price of your home, right now it's between 7 and 8%, which is, or 7 and 8 times your annual income, which is really concerning. So depending on which state that you live in, will kind of determine what the annual mean salary that you will earn.
And we got a huge range.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
Tremendous.
everyone else has a smaller scale. Yeah, ours is like 100K difference. I look at California, we know it's like state taxes there to 5-10%. I'm looking at Illinois only because we at one point were considering moving to Chicago. State taxes there were also very comparable. So I'm looking at the annual mean wage, and for sure the wage with the cost of living, specifically in those state examples,
Right.
doesn't line up.
Something to consider when you're a new dentist, graduating out of dental school and considering where to build a practice. What is the mean wage? What is the reimbursement rates? What are the tax rates?
Yeah, while you're loading that, there's a good, as I have just considered at the beginning, like, of my career, there was a good friend, mentor of mine that helped me kind of see this picture into play. His example he was giving is if I went to maybe a more established firm that had kind of all their ducks in line, maybe the growth trajectory in that firm for me as a planner would be slower, incremental, versus a smaller company that had, a great horizon ahead of them, had the opportunity to just grow and scale, and the opportunity I would have to kind of grow along with that company, maybe exponentially and faster than if at the bigger company. And of course, I think there's that same mentality when you're looking at it from even just income, revenue, company growth, right? As these young dentists are starting out, do they want to compete in these markets that are already well established and kind of be happy coming in there and maybe being ceilinged possibly in their earnings potential and growth? Or do they want to take part in these states that have the potential to be a bigger, a bigger state, a competitive state? We hear it all the time here in Utah that our growth is just expanding. We're likened a lot to kind of the growth in California, but we are nowhere near where California is in terms of population and just everything there. And so I think it's definitely something to kind of look at, as dentists are looking at where to start their practice. What does the state itself have to offer in terms of economic growth as a state? What are they doing to attract new jobs? That sort of thing that maybe these dentists might be able to capitalize on with their personal practices.
I have this amortization schedule. The average dental student graduating with $300,000 in debt. I just did a mean interest rate of 6%, but it can average between 5 and 8% for student loans. And then a loan repayment period payback so this was being really aggressive, being on an aggressive payback schedule of 10 years or 120 months. And what does that payment amount look like, that monthly payment? It comes up to $3,330. But not everyone is on so aggressive a payment plan. A lot of people are on that 20-year repayment plan, which comes down to $2,149 every month of interest charged over the 20 years. It comes to $431,600.
Yeah, it's insane. Found a pretty cool article on just rentals in America. There's a huge supply coming to the market from development, multifamily housing. And so that's kind of suppressed a little bit the cost of rent. They anticipate that with the continual supply coming to the market, that there will be some suppression of rental, prices. So, just talking about what you were saying about even just something like the cost of a home, if it went from 1 to 3 times your income to 1 to 7 to 8 times your income, looking at, if other markets like renting are hopefully starting to slow down in terms of prices, that maybe we talk about, we can't ever time the market, but, strategically positioning yourselves to kind of weather the storm. Thinking from maybe a patient profile, do you see maybe a way that would directly correlate to maybe how just to a dental practice, how that could possibly play into maybe strategy?
Right. So the higher your payments, it reduces your expendable money that you have available to spend on what might be deemed as elective treatments, like going to see the dentist. During this time when it's higher, you would think higher portion of your income is being allocated to bills and other necessary expenses. The cost of fuel traditionally goes up during the summer months, and perhaps we'll see the projections are getting close to $5, which is really high for this area. So that just means, you know, there's fewer dollars available for families to spend their money on. I did an interview with a gentleman. He was talking about how dental visits were not a thing for him growing up in his household because they didn't have dental insurance, and then just going to see the dentist was too expensive for their family. And he didn't go in until he had experienced the abscess in one of his teeth. But it's still a real example of just patients out there. They would love to see the dentist, but it's just too expensive for them right now.
Maybe on that note, I'm helping a friend with looking at their COBRA options. They're no longer, you know, employed at their job, so they're looking at the COBRA options of it until they figure out if they're going to go back to work or what. I was floored when I saw the premiums for the COBRA premium for them plus dependents. It was insane. And it made me think, like, man, if these people, you know, as people start to lose jobs, if they're losing jobs, the likelihood of them insuring, you know, on a COBRA plan, if they're already out of work, right, and these COBRA premiums are double, triple the cost of what they were paying as an employee, it's kind of made me think, like, if that's even going to be a thing, like if they're able to afford kind of that coverage. Kind of going back to that article, you know, with rentals that they're expecting a possible slowdown and maybe even a decrease in the prices of renting, in, you know, rents versus buy, made me think, even as, you know, dentists are coming out, since you're talking about school loans, as dentists are coming out of school, looking for practices, looking for way to possibly grow to the point of being able to own their own dental practice, even looking at things in the market and how it pertains to them as a person while they're trying to maybe sustain or get their foot in the door with owning their own practice. Would it be worth it right now to own a home if they have a young family? Or would it be worth it to maybe take advantage of possible suppressed prices in the renting market, you know, while they maybe pay off the school debt? So you're talking about anywhere between 5 to 8% for school debt, right? If we're seeing a possible suppress in mortgage interest rates, then maybe, you know, doing some of that comparison, what makes more sense? Or do I just maybe rent and hoard all my money and pay off my school loans to be in a better position to maybe start the practice or put more into the practice? Those are some, you know, thoughts that I kind of thought about as I was looking at just the effects of, you know, rent, what we're seeing of this excess supply of rental units becoming available on the market, and how consumers are reacting to, you know, what's there. This is a good one. I actually think we got a ton of meat out.
Yeah.
Keep doing you, Drew.
Thank you. I appreciate the support.
We have 2 buff Orpington chickens, and ladies, and then these are the Easter eggs.
Oh, so cool.
I tell Jackie, if you don't take care of your eggs, like put them in the house every night, we're having fried chicken for dinner tomorrow night. And she's a vegetarian, so she doesn't like that. Oh, and I'm a bad farmer because I didn't let the chickens out. Yeah. Sorry, all this information you don't even care about or need to know.